Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board. I'd like to get started by standing and pledge allegiance. Please remove your hats. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let me introduce you to a few people. To my left, our solicitor, Keith Bidley-Meyer. We also have Bo Fleming with us. He is the building and planning supervisor, and our stenographer is Cindy Oliveira. I'll call the board. Colleen Dunn.
Here.
Mark Marcus.
Here.
Gerard Lycon.
Here.
Jim McMahon here. Okay, real quick before we get started, I have two applicants that need a continuance. So that's number one on the agenda. If anybody's here for number one on the agenda, that will not be hearing this application tonight. And number four on the agenda, we will not be hearing the application tonight. Okay? So for the record, this is sent to Bob McTeague, Director of L&I, and our solicitor Keith Bidley-Meyer. This note confirms my telephone discussion with both you and Bryce McGuigan, Esquire, regarding the status of the above pending application, which is scheduled to be heard on the upcoming zoning hearing agenda on April 14th. I confirmed the desire to postpone the hearing to allow the parties additional time to address and hopefully amicable resolve the open issues so that more streamlined applications could be presented on June 9th. Accordingly, please allow this note to act as a formal request of the applicant to postpone the pending hearing until the next zoning hearing agenda on June 9th, 2025. Mr. McGuigan does not oppose this request. Thanks for everything, everyone's consideration in this matter. Edward F. Murphy, Esquire. Okay, that's that. So I need a motion for a continuance for June's 2025 zoning hearing board meeting, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Call the board. Colleen Dunn.
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Gerard Lycon.
Yes.
Jim McMahon, yes. Okay, number four on the agenda. This is to dear Mr. Bidley-Meyer. As you know, this firm represents AREC RW MS LLC, the applicant. In connection with the above referenced application of Bristol Township Zoning Hearing Board, the board, which is presently scheduled for the hearing of April 14th, 2025, on behalf of the applicant and pursuant to our email communication, please allow this letter to serve as an official request to continue the April 14th, 2025 hearing until the board's May 12th, 2025 meeting. In order to accommodate the requested continuance in this matter, please allow this letter to serve as a waiver and extension of the applicable time frame set forth under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code in Section 205-189C of the Bristol Township Zoning Ordinance through May 12th, 2025. Thank you for your time. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you should have any questions or require any further information. Very true to yours, Augustus M. O'Neill. Okay, I need a motion for this application for May 2025.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Well, is there room on the agenda?
I don't know the agenda as of now, Colleen.
Then I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mark DeMarcus.
Yes.
Jim McMahon, yes. Gerard Lycon.
Yes.
Colleen Dunn?
Yes.
Okay. That's that. That is that. Okay, so number two on the agenda is Bucks County Community College Authority, 275 Swamp Road, Newtown. Please come on up. Please bring your mailings up to the, he's got them. All right, you may proceed.
Good evening, I'm Ed Murphy. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant, which is the Bucks County Community College Authority. The authority, as probably everybody knows, is the owner of the Lower Bucks campus of the community college. With me tonight is Tracy Timby. Tracy is the Vice President for Workforce and Strategic Partnerships, and we're here to talk about a very small expansion to what's known as the Center for Advanced Technology that is part of the Lower Bucks Community College campus. It's a really good program for those that don't know it. I'd like to have Tracy sworn, and she can fill you in a little bit about the background of what the center is doing, what it hopes to accomplish with this very small addition, and then I'll talk briefly about the several items of zoning relief associated with it. But perhaps we can get Ms. Timby sworn.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you spell your name, please?
TRACY-TIMBY.
So, Ms. Timby, you've heard my very brief introduction about the background of the application. Why don't you explain first to the board what role you play at the college, how you're involved in this particular application, and then talk about what the Center for Advanced Technology does.
Okay. As Mr. Murphy said, I am the Vice President for Workforce and Strategic Partnerships, and in my role at the college, I oversee all of our workforce development programs, our customized training for businesses, our community education, as well as our large-scale firefighter program. And we've had a track record of supplying the region with the workforce that's needed at the time that it is needed. Over the past 10 years, we've developed 8 programs that meet workforce needs, starting first with the metalwork pre-apprenticeship program, the industrial maintenance program.
I'm sorry, Miss.
Yes.
Guys, can we give her a little consideration, please? Guys, a little consideration, please. Good, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Can continue. Yeah.
And then when the Center for Advanced Technologies opened in 2022, we were able to partner with the 19 trade unions to create our building and construction trades program, where union reps come in and educate our students on the basics of plumbing, electrical, construction, and the other things that they would need to enter an apprenticeship program with one of the unions. We also have an accelerated welding program and an electrical program as well. And in just 3 years since the center opened, we went from 2 programs to 11 programs, serving the community and training nearly 10,000 individuals over the last year alone, and distributing $1 million into the business community that they can use for customized training over the last 2 years. We have a 93% job placement rate for our industrial maintenance and metalwork programs. We have more than 170 employer relationships, including a powerful partnership with Estee Lauder to meet their workforce needs for supply chain specialists, where our students enjoy free tuition, mentoring, as well as employment at the end of their training with us. And just recently on Friday, we hosted the middle school girls from Bristol Township School District for the Girls Ignite event, where we exposed young girls to the unionized trades and the opportunities that they have in front of them, as well as firefighting.
So the building that is involved with tonight's application, which we refer to as the Center for Advanced Technology, houses all those different trade school components you just talked about, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
the reason we're here tonight for the zoning relief we're going to mention in a minute deals with a specific trade, right? The HVAC
Yes.
piece of that. Explain to the board why we're here and what triggers the HVAC trade portion and the relief we need.
So when we develop our programs on the non-credit side, or specifically the training side, we look at the high priority occupations list and see what is needed in the local community. And HVAC has recently joined the HPO list. So in furtherance of our program, we sought a Department of Energy grant. We were the recipient of that. It's a $2 million grant to launch our HVAC program. The cost of the actual lab that is the subject of tonight's hearing is not funded through that grant. but the program launch is. And that grant will provide free tuition for 24 students across 3 cohorts to be trained in HVAC.
So the program itself is located indoors, inside what you call the Center for Advanced Technology, right?
Part of it is indoors because what we wanted to do was develop a program that would set us apart from other training programs. And what we have done is we have put the things that are typically on the outside that HVAC technicians work on outside, so that people get accustomed to the different weather conditions that they're going to have to work in and have real life conditions when they're being trained, not just when they hit the workforce.
So the concrete pad that is triggering the need for this application is going to be adjacent to the indoor lab, if you will, where the HVAC training occurs in part, but the training also includes what equipment's going to be located on the pad.
Correct.
Okay. So what's going to be outside on the pad that's creating the need for the impervious relief?
The condensers.
Okay. Explain to the board the condenser, what's that about, and why that is.
You're really testing my HVAC knowledge.
Yeah.
So just at your home, you have a condenser that's on the outside, and then you have all the other stuff that's on the inside. So the condensers will be on the outside so that they can work in real-time conditions. And we also have a propane tank out there, as well as a refilling station.
But the students will access those pieces of equipment outside as part of their daily training?
Yes.
Okay. So the piece of the concrete pad that looks like a triangle on the plan is immediately adjacent to the building itself, and that is what is triggering the requested increase in impervious from 75% to 81%, right?
And there's a door from the inside training portion to this outside training portion.
Right. And the other piece of relief that we're seeking is a height variance for a fence that surrounds the triangular outdoor work area.
Correct.
Explain, because I know you were part of the thinking about increasing the height of the fence.
Yes. When we were talking about having this outdoor facility without a roof on it, we were very concerned about people being able to get over the fence and into the condensers, because there are parts of condensers that can be sold and then money used for whatever somebody would like to use it for. So we wanted to make sure that we could meet our objectives by having the outdoor lab, but also prevent people from accessing the condenser. So the 12-foot wall is higher than a standard ladder.
Other than those two items, the height of the fence of 12 feet and the additional increase in impervious, there's no other zoning relief associated with adding the HVAC trade portion of the training to the Center for Advanced Technology, right?
Correct.
Okay. I have nothing else to offer. The plan that we highlighted, annotated, and I handed out before the meeting is just a color version of the plan that accompanied the application. But other than that, I'd move. Tracy can answer any questions any board members may have.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't have a question.
Oh, I'll get to public comments in a second, sir. All right? Anybody? Bo, anything to add? Okay, so you're not disturbing any parking spots, you're not disturbing
Nope.
any woodlands, you're not, none of that, so forth.
Simple concrete pad,
Right.
triangular shape adjacent to the building.
All right, is that all you have?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody from the audience like to come up for or against this application? Please do it now, sir.
Hello.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you state your name, please?
Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Fuchs, Fuchs.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Fuchs, and I represent the ownership, and I'm the property manager of the Bucks County Office Center, which is right across from the college. Upon hearing that, I got a letter. I didn't know what it was about, but I'm so happy to hear that that's the program that you're having. And I'd like to volunteer the Bucks County Office Center roof. We have over 100 HVAC units from 1970 all the way up to today. If they want real-world experience, supervised with an HVAC person, more than welcome to coordinate that with me. All right?
Very
There you
nice
go.
of you,
That's
sir.
it.
Anybody else from the audience like to come up?
For this or for something else?
No, for this. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All right. Gerard Lycon,
Yes.
Mark DeMarcus,
Yes.
Colleen Dunn,
Yes.
Jim McMahon. Yes. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda is New Horizon Property Management, 1909 Veterans Highway, Levittown. Please come on up. Bring up your mailings, please, Michael.
All right, good evening. My name is Mike McGinnis. I'm attorney with Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. I am here tonight on behalf of New Horizon Property Management. My client is the owner of a 1.86 acre site located on Norman Avenue in the township. The property is located between Edgeley Road and Junewood Drive, and I believe it has now been pulled up before you. Property is presently zoned M1. If you look at the current zoning map, and Mr. Young's office has provided some notes, basically everything to the plan right is zoned R3. Everything to the plan left and plan north is zoned M1. This parcel is presently zoned M1. Our plan, after hopefully we procure zoning relief for this, is to move forward with the land development and submit a zoning change to the township to permanently rezone this property to R3. We're here, as you can see, to propose the construction of 7 single-family detached dwellings. These properties would be accessed via cul-de-sac and would have basins to the plan north, which would manage the stormwater runoff resulting from the construction. These lots range from between 5,000 square feet to 7,300 square feet. They will be serviced by public water and sewer. And the existing structure, which Mr. Young will point out in a second, which is on site, will be removed as part of the development. As I indicated already, we would be willing and happy to condition the zoning relief that we're seeking this evening on a successful rezoning of the property to R3, which we think will be a positive both for our site, obviously, and also hopefully for the neighbors, removing the possibility that this site is ever developed in an industrial manner moving forward. The only reason that we're here is to procure one variance, which I'm going to note as a housekeeping item is a little bit different than what's listed in our application. When we filed the application, we were requesting 2 variances. One for a 100-foot distance between the M1 and residential zoning districts. That we can withdraw at this time because we are rezoning this subsequently to R3, which eliminates that zoning requirement, which we confirmed through the township. That's really in place if you are building an industrial use in the M1 district, which is abutting residential. That means what we still have is a relief which requires a 30-foot wide buffer along the north and west property lines. As I indicated, Mr. Young's plan has a couple words highlighted in yellow, which you cannot see, but that is a distinction between not just the current zoning district, but also the uses which are ongoing within the parcels on the Plan West. And the reason I'm pointing that out is most township zoning ordinances have a requirement, and Bristol is one of those, which requires a buffer from the industrial property uses to residential. So if we were to develop this property in accordance with the M1 zoning district requirements, for example, we would have a buffer requirement from our site to the residential uses to the Plan East. That's very typical. So if anybody was developing to the Plan West, to this property, and it was zoned residential or developed in a residential manner, there would be a buffer requirement on the industrial property side of things. What makes Bristol a little bit unique and why we're here this evening is in addition to the buffering requirement on residential, on industrial sites to residential, there is also a requirement for the residential construction to buffer from the industrial, which is a little bit abnormal. So what I mean by that is if you look at the houses which we have marked as 4, 3, and probably 2 as well, there is a 30-foot buffer requirement because those sites are adjoining and adjacent to an industrial use to the Plan West. So if everything to the west was residential, just like everything to the east is residential, there wouldn't be a need for the 30-foot wide buffer strip. Because it's industrial, we actually have a requirement to buffer the houses from the industrial uses. So again, that's a little bit atypical. The homes that we have noted on the plan is Lot 1, Lot 5, Lot 6, and Lot 7. Those are all compliant. The rest of the performance standards are met from a dimensional standpoint with the R3 zoning district, which is, again, what we're proposing to rezone this to subsequent to the zoning hearing board. And that's it. That's the only relief that we're seeking this evening, and I would submit is because of this sort of odd technical component where we have a requirement to buffer from an existing industrial use. So with that, what I would like to do is call Mr. Young to provide testimony, and then at the end have Dominic Chilberti sworn in and just swear and affirm that everything that I've said is true and correct to the best of his information and belief. Thank you.
Solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes. Larry Young.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, Mr. Young. Can you please state your place of employment?
Tri-State Engineers.
Okay, and you have a license in civil engineering, is that correct?
Yes.
And I know Mr. Young has been recognized as an expert in civil engineering multiple times. I would submit him for the purposes this evening as well. Sure. Thank you. No echo. All right, Mr. Young, did you prepare the plans which are before the board this evening?
Yes, I did.
All right, can you please take a minute to orient the board to the existing conditions on site?
Yeah, as Mr. McGinnis said, there's an existing structure here with a driveway that comes up to about the end of the first lot. That's going to be removed. It's also on a septic system, which is also going to be removed. This subdivision will be serviced by the water line down Norman Avenue and the sewer line that is running back here in the rear of the properties of the Junewood section of Levittown. There's an easement. There's an easement for us to connect up to. That's the authority's easement.
All right. And on what I'm referring to, the plan east, so if you're looking at the site plan, everything to the right on the site plan, which you have labeled Junewood section, I made a representation to the board that is all zone R3. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And those properties are improved by what, generally?
They're single-family detached dwellings.
Okay.
The typical Levittown houses.
And then on the plan west, so if you're looking at the screen, to the left side of the screen, I made a representation to the board that those are presently zoned M1. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. But even though they're zoned M1, there is in fact a mixture of industrial/residential uses which are ongoing on those parcels. Is that right?
That's correct. The corner piece has a residential dwelling, and the third one up from the intersection has a residential dwelling. This one is Edgeley Supply, and this one is Dayton Electric up here.
Okay.
And on the top is the Decker manufacturing facility that wraps around. That comes in up here and wraps around to the back of this property.
And just for a second, Mr. Young, if you can do 30 seconds on confirmation of what we are in fact here to propose this evening and the general range of lot sizes and the improvements depicted on the plan.
Yeah, like I said, the water line is coming from the existing water line will service these 7 lots. There will be a water line proposed in the cul-de-sac. There's also a sewer line that's going to come back through the lot 7 and run into the cul-de-sac road to connect all 7 lots up. The site drains from the front of Norman to the back corner of the lot. There are 2 basins, fairly large basins. They're going to infiltrate the water as it does today. Also, we're putting a drain line with a trench that runs about at the rear of all residential properties, which will empty out into the basin area.
Okay. And in fact, as part of the land development process, for anyone who's interested in this property, it might be worth explaining to them. You would submit a fully designed engineered plan, which would then be reviewed both by the township engineer and by the county conservation district to make sure that this development does not generate any additional runoff to any of the adjoining properties after the improvements are constructed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we have a legal requirement to do that. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
All right. I made a statement at the beginning, and you have it on your plan, that we would be rezoning this from M1 to R3. Is that right?
That is correct.
And the effect of that would be to, unlike receiving a use variance, for example, someone, if you receive a use variance, could come through, delete the houses at a later date, and build a warehouse or some other industrial facility. Is that an accurate statement?
That is accurate.
Okay. If instead there is a zoning change, like we are proposing from M1 to R3, that is no longer an option in perpetuity in the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. It'll be zoned the same as the Junewood section.
All right. And I made a statement to the board that our proposed lots are compliant from a dimensional standpoint with all of the underlying requirements in the R3 district, with the exception of the variance which we're seeking with regard to buffering from the industrial properties. Is that an accurate statement?
That is accurate.
Okay. And I pointed out to the board that the 30-foot buffer requirement, in fact, does not pertain to the homes that we are constructing on the Plan East portion of the property, and in fact, only relates to the proposed noncompliance with lots 2, 3, and 4. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
Okay. Is that just a typical provision in your experience to have the residential properties buffer from the industrial as opposed to it just being the opposite?
No, that's not typical.
Okay. Do you, based on your experience, project any significant increase in traffic as a result of the construction of 7 single-family detached dwellings?
No.
And in fact, that would likely be less traffic generated from an industrial use which could be developed on this property. Is that a fair statement?
Correct. And you would only have vehicles, passenger vehicles out there, not trucks, idling and things like that.
Okay. Based on your familiarity with this neighborhood, do you foresee any negative impact on the township or any of the surrounding properties as a result of this development?
No, we addressed all the stormwater issues with the proposed stormwater facilities that we're doing, and the plan is presently being reviewed for land development as we speak.
Okay.
So,
And because of the existing conditions and the surrounding uses, do you have an opinion as to whether the variance that we're seeking is the minimum variance necessary to reasonably develop this lot?
it is the minimal.
Okay. I have nothing further, Mr. Young, at this time. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Young? Yeah, we'll get to the public comments and they're done. Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, please.
Dominic Chilberti,
What are your last name, please?
Chilberti.
Good evening, Mr. Chilberti. Are you in fact a member of New Horizon Property Management?
Yes,
Okay, and that entity is the owner of this property, is that correct?
yes it is.
And you heard the overview at the beginning that I provided the board, as well as the testimony that's been offered by Mr. Young this evening, is that right?
Yes,
All right. If you were called to testify this evening, is the testimony and the summary provided by both myself and Mr. Young consistent with the testimony that you would provide the board if you were sworn in and so asked and inquired of?
yes it is.
All right, I have nothing further at this time.
Okay. Any questions? What's the square footage of 2, 3, and 4, the home itself?
It'll be, our houses are normally about 1,900 square feet, in that range.
Yeah, the footprint's about a little less than 1,200,
Okay.
so it's not an overly big house.
Right. Okay. So, there's no way to shrink the house up a little bit to get your 30 foot, or that's impossible at this point?
That would be quite a task. The envelope wouldn't be big enough to put a size house on there.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not possible at all. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, hold on one second. Yeah. Okay, Bo, anything to add? Okay, public comment, please, come on up, ma'am.
Patricia Himes. Himes. Hi, how are you? My house is right behind the house that's going to be built, number 7 house. So I just heard that you said something about the sewer line. I'd like to know where the sewer line and if you're coming into my property to access that sewer line. Because it seemed like it said number 7. I want to make sure that that's not.
I'll try to,
So this is me.
You got, speak into the microphone, ma'am.
here we go. So, I believe this is you then, or
No,
this one?
That is the
Okay.
first house, yes.
What, there's an easement right here
There is?
with the sewer line running right up the side. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap into this line, so it is within your lot, but it's gonna be underground.
Correct.
So there'll be grass on top of it that you can still use as you do today.
But you have to come into my backyard to access that sewer line.
Yes, yes.
You wouldn't have to remove any structure, because I do have a shed that's quite large, that's half of that.
I'm not sure where your shed is, but we'll move the line if we have to.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's just
yeah.
me, I'm a widow.
Yeah.
It's my house, I own that house, so I need to know this information. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. I guess I want to point out the industrial buffer to the residential buffer, that you said 100 feet is not necessary. If it was a residential, like you're saying, there's no buffer, all we're gonna have is a trench. That it seems like that's being said.
Correct. We're rezoning to the R3 district.
Correct.
Which is residential properties. It'd be different if we were putting a warehouse up with a parking lot, things like that. Then we would need the buffer to be on your side of the property. But right now, there's like uses between your house, your development, Junewood, and these houses that are going in. So you don't buffer around like uses.
Okay, I just thought I heard the comment with the 100 feet
Yeah.
is usually unusual, and I don't know if it's because you're trying to jam all these houses in that area, And why does it have to be no buffer on my side, but it's 100 from the industrial?
Well, it makes sense only because
And I'm sorry, I might
there.
sound stupid.
No,
but-
no, there's like uses. You try to separate a more intensive use, which is definitely light manufacturing or commercial properties.
Right.
You want them to have separation from your residential
You mean
districts.
to benefit the new homeowners is basically what you're saying.
Well, you're benefiting from the existing homeowners
Okay.
when you're in the M1 district.
Okay.
You know, they want you to buffer if I was putting a warehouse in here.
And then it would
Against
probably
your
have to be
property,
100.
yeah.
Okay.
Generally, and maybe I can try to explain this a little bit better. No, it's
a lot coming
it's
our way.
absolutely it's confusing too. When you build a number of houses, you don't have to, just like the houses on Junewood, you don't have to buffer from your neighbor. You have setback requirements, but you don't need, when we talk about a buffer, normally that's plants and trees and things that are being planted, and you don't have that requirement between your neighbors because it's a house and a house and a house. But if we were here saying we want to build an industrial facility where there's parking and lighting and trucks, what the township does is say, okay, if that use is next to a residential use, to limit the impact on the residential houses, you need to have some bushes and trees and things. If you're proposing houses next to houses, that requirement is not the same. So the 100-foot requirement that we are removing as a variance request has to do with the fact that we're changing this property to residential and we're building houses adjacent to houses. The comment that I made about it being odd or irregular is the fact that on the left side, where there's industrial properties, most township ordinances don't require a residential development to add buffering next to an industrial building. They would require the reverse to be true, an industrial building to add buffering from existing houses. So I was just pointing out that that's a little bit of a unique scenario, but technically we still need relief. And the reason we do not need the buffer, as Mr. Young pointed out, is because it's residential to residential.
I was just listening and I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's a
Sewer
confusing,
line.
it's a good question.
And my property's the only one that really has to tap into the sewer line? Does it have to be my property?
Yeah, we'll try to work with you. We do have to tap into it somewhere, obviously. It comes in high where you are, because it flows towards the top of the page up there. So it gets lower and lower as you go to that circular
Okay.
piece of ground up there.
I have a good idea
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah.
Exactly where
Well,
it's at, in my backyard.
Yeah, well, it's right here. It's drawn right here.
Yeah, I see it.
It bisects your yard,
It does.
actually.
It
Yeah.
really does.
But
So you're
this is,
coming
this is
pretty
all
much in.
easements, but what, like I said, it will be underground, and you will still have the use of your property back here, just like you do today.
Oh, after
Yeah,
the fact,
yeah.
after we're all said and
Yeah.
done, yes.
Yeah, well, it'll only take a couple days to make that connection.
Okay, and then my fence, I have a fence.
They'll have to take your fence down and, put it back,
Okay,
so.
okay, that's all my questions. I
Okay,
just- thank
great.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Himes. Thank you. Come on up, sir.
How you doing? My name is Andrew Pilati.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Andrew? Spell your last name?
Pillotti.
Just speak in the microphone.
I too am one of the neighbors on this property. Actually, my property backs up to the water basin. A little concerned in regards to that. Just I've been there for the last 10 years. We've had a heavy problem with like mosquitoes and things like that. So if this is going to be constantly holding water, what's to stop that from reoccurring?
Mr. Young?
There's two basins, one on each side of the cul-de-sac, right here and right here. What you see happening out there today is from the leaves, the siltation. It is a low point.
Right.
You
It's
know,
coming
in
even
there.
from the adjacent property.
But when you remove the leaves and the sediment that has accumulated.
Something for it to perk through?
Yes, because we did soil
So that
testing
area
out there.
behind me won't be a lake
No,
Alright.
it has to empty in 96 hours.
in 96
Yeah.
hours, okay. Proposed easement from like our property line to any permanent structures, as far as like even my neighbors are concerned? What would that be?
Well, this is gonna be a
Right,
dug basin.
right.
You know, a dug,
This is gonna be a what basin?
dug, DUG.
Okay.
So there's nothing that's gonna be structure-wise out there.
Retaining wall, anything on the back end of
There is
that?
gonna be a retaining
So
wall.
to stop the water from coming into my property, because our property's the top of, geographically, it actually pitches back, yeah.
one?
Right where the sewer line meets?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
me, all
Yeah,
right?
because it
And are you
drains,
guys-
it drains through your lot to the road.
And you were saying the sewer line flows that way?
Yeah.
North? That's,
Yeah.
I
Actually,
believe that to
it's
be
the other way.
incorrect, yeah.
That's
It's the other
it's
way.
the other way.
One at a time, guys.
Yeah, it is the other way, so.
All right, I just, my neighbor backed up the line and my neighbor's to the north, where, so that is incorrect. So, I mean, what is it, a 30-foot easement from property to permanent structure?
Well, the rear of the property, that house is. That house is almost 22 feet away.
It's 22 feet,
Yeah.
okay. Maintaining, I guess, what the existing 30-foot easement from the sewer
Yes.
line? That's
Yeah.
what that 30-foot is?
Yep, there's 30 more feet on your property where that
Right,
sewer line is
right,
running.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
there's
the
like
30-foot
50.
easement then is not necessarily the property line, it's based on the sewer line?
And also, there's going to be a trench along the backyards of the 3 lots here
And they're gonna filter it?
that any water, stormwater runoff created by these rooftops is going to go in the trench, and it has a pipe within it, and it's going to empty out into these basins. And there's going to be a homeowners association with maintenance responsibilities for those basins.
To maintain those basins?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's,
Yep.
that does it for me. Thank you.
Come on up, man.
Harold Becker, B as in boy, BCKE. Hi, my property is a little bit above theirs. I am at 147 Junwood Drive, so I actually back out to the ABC Breadcrumb Company, which is Mr. Decker's property. This property was all very wet. I've been in my property for 45 years. And when I was younger, and there would be a lot of rain and it would freeze, we would ice skate back here because the water would fill. And it used to be a meadow. It used to all be mowed and all from the man that used to own the house that's going to be ripped down. And when we were kids, we would see it would freeze and we'd go back with our ice skates. So this is very marshy. It's always been very wet. The property behind me is also wet. Mr. Decker has his tractor trailers behind me, and behind me is also where he's got a basin, and it still gets wet back there. When we have heavy rains, it's all very, very wet. I'm also concerned about flooding. Like I said, I'm a little further, 2 or 3 houses up, but the flooding concerns me because I know that it's very, very wet. And I'm also concerned about the basins, how long they retain water and the issues of mosquitoes and, just having water laying there. So I'm very concerned about it having this done, just because I always thought that nothing would be built back there because it's just so wet, and it has always been wet. And I'm concerned about the water and the drainage. I am number one of the sewer, so I've had the sewer people out many times for blockages, and I thought I was at the end of the line, but I'm the beginning of the line. So I am number one in the sewer, and it goes down from top to bottom. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody want to address our concerns?
As I said before, there was a lot of sedimentation built up in that back area, and also a lot of leaves, things like that. If we were, obviously, the water couldn't infiltrate at that point. Once we went below that level, we did not hit groundwater for quite a bit down. And
That is during the testing process you're talking about?
yes,
Right.
yes, the soil testing process. So that's required by stormwater, the ordinance, and we believe it meets it, and it's being reviewed as we speak.
If I can ask, sorry, if I can ask Larry, because I think this might be useful just to explain to any of the interested residents and neighbors here. Oftentimes, when we come before the zoning hearing board, we have not done a fully engineered plan because that doesn't occur typically until after zoning has been approved. And in those instances, often you have not done testing, but that is not the case here. So you can actually provide more confidence to the board and to the neighbors about what you just testified to. Is that right?
Yeah, this is a fully engineered plan.
Through the township engineers and everything, or?
It's being reviewed right now as we speak.
We received the review letter from the County Planning Commission on Friday, actually, so it's in the pipeline.
Okay. All right. Sir, would you like to come on up?
Sure. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you state your name, please?
David Clark? Yep. How you doing? My name's Dave. I own Edgley Supply, and you were speaking about a buffer that's gonna go up there, or not go up there. So I just wanted to be filled in about that, but there's a few things that raised some concerns. One was where the gentleman had talked about the basins. It's wet there a lot. Right now, I got pictures of the ducks and the geese swimming in there. And also, there's a fence line at the back of the property where you can see like the marshy grasses growing and stuff like that. When I bought the property and when I went to, it was a bare lot when I bought my property. I built the property, built the building. I fell within, when they did the engineering survey, I fell within the 100-year flood plan. The 100-year flood plan is right where this new property's gonna go, proposed, is what I was told. So I don't know what's going on. And the other concerns are about the basins. Now, if these are gonna be holding water, is there gonna be any type of like water agitation, like pumps or anything like that, just to keep it from getting to be stagnant water where more algae and mosquitoes and other bugs are gonna be living there as well? So I was really concerned about that. And then my property, when I did grade shots when I was building it, from the crown of Edgley Road to the back of my property was 3-foot difference in depth. So it is a fishbowl. So how much fill is gonna go in there? We talked about a trench, which is basically gonna be a swale, from what I understand. That's gonna dump all this flat water surfaces from all the roofs and be drained and piped right into the back. When Decker put up his property with his moving all the stone and all that, he was actually moving stuff. So it's kind of blocked it and it's corralled it all in there, like it is behind Mrs. Becker's house. So there were just some concerns that were up. And then as far as like the 100-year flood plan, it's like, it was there when I went to go build it, and I was told I was right on the edge of it, and that property was in it. So I didn't know why it would get to this point.
Mr. Young?
According to the FEMA maps, which is your floodplain maps, last revised March of 2017, there is no 100-year floodplain on the property. There's a 2% chance, or 0.2% chance, which is not the 100-year. It's a much higher storm. It's like a 500-year storm, of which nothing works out there if a 500-year storm hits.
But we don't get those, but even the minimal storms that we do get, there is substantial amount of water that does sit up there.
But I've been saying siltation over the time, leaves just matting down everything. It makes it hard for that water to infiltrate.
Were the perk tests
We
done
did-
all the way at the back of the
Yes,
property? I know
right.
I've seen marked on
Yeah.
upper ends of the property, but
Nah.
at the lowest points.
They were done back here. They were done back here and back here. And you're right here, right?
Right in the middle.
So you're higher than these lots.
Exactly.
And this trench with a pipe in it
There's
is
gonna be one
going
on
to
both
take.
sides?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's going to take your flow and put it in the basin.
Okay, so the other
So-
concern would be about the water. If we do get water that's sitting there, or am I gonna have to come to the board and then say, hey, we need to
No.
get something done about this?
Well-
Is there gonna be a provision in the plans saying that we're gonna have water agitation in there?
Yes, there's not water agitation, but there's a O&M agreement, which is a operations and maintenance agreement
Right, where
by
they-
the applicant.
Right, from the
by the
HOA,
HOA.
which is gonna just
Right,
maintain, cut the
they-
grasses, maybe plant
Well,
some
they
shrubs.
have to do more than that. If it's 72 to 96 hours, you shouldn't have algae growing in there. After that, then it becomes mosquito breeding.
Right,
So that's why that 96 hours is put in there.
And then on the-
And we
oh,
did
I'm
get
sorry.
rates
right.
that predicted that we got pretty decent rates. Once we got through all the muck up top from over the years.
And now the buffer situation on, well, we'll go on both sides. Is there any plantings that are going on the right side or the left side?
There was only, no, because the trench is there.
But there's not gonna be any type of plantings like the buffer, like
No.
say my property to them? Cause I
No.
know when I built my property, township required me to put plants
Right.
on their properties.
That's what Mr. McGinnis was talking about. When
Right.
you put in a commercial property or a light manufacturing property,
Right.
that's typical that you have to buffer against the lesser use
Right,
at that point. That on this side, it's residential and residential. So there's no buffer required there.
so actually, we're not gonna get hassled if cause we do snow plowing operations, so we're running equipment at night. We're not
Yeah.
gonna get the complaints from,
Well, as long
behind
as, as long as you meet the noise requirements of the
well,
ordinance.
it's manufacturing, I mean, we're just running machines and.
Okay,
You
well,
gotta stop after a certain time
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
evening, so.
yeah, there's
Well,
a
the
noise
Snow operations, I mean,
ordinance.
we're 2, 3 AM, whenever the snow dictates us to go out there to do it. And now we're putting residential behind us, which was M1.
It's a little bit different because they see what's around
Right.
already and they're buying.
So they should already know.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be different if, it was the other way around.
Right.
That they came first and you came in and didn't know that all hours of the night you were preparing for snow pickup or whatever.
Would we be able to receive any copies, the adjacent neighbors of that, or? of the
Yeah,
plan?
yeah, if you give this,
Of the, this right here.
yeah,
You have the plan itself, just that one, that's all, that's fine.
you'd have to give them,
We have no objection.
Yeah.
I just wanna see,
Yeah.
just,
One at a time,
Yeah.
one at a time, one at a
Yeah.
time.
so,
Anybody who is interested after this meeting, if they give me their email and contact information, I'm happy to distribute it.
I appreciate it. That was mainly a lot of my concerns, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come on up, sir.
Sure, be glad to. So help me God. Kenneth Banks. Banks, B as in boy, A-N-K-S. Got it. All right, how you doing, guys? All right, so my wife and I own 2430 Edgeley Road, which goes right along the border of the back right there. So I think I got a call from one of these Horizon guys to buy my property about a year ago, but he didn't come up with enough money. But you can keep on, whoever owns it, maybe you think about it. Anyway, shut this off. There we go. So anyway, so when I bought this almost 4 years ago, it's zoned M1, which is, as you know, light heavy duty. You know what I mean? So I bought it. Right now, there's just a home on it right now. And I bought it I have a construction company. I own Asphalt Services in Langhorne. But I wanted to store some of my equipment there, have a little office. I haven't gone through with the zoning yet or anything, but, you know, my concern is, you know, Dave has a small business, Edgeley Supply. I got Dayton Electric right on the other side. Those guys are doing their thing, and that's why I bought it. And I've been paying, excuse me, M1 taxes too, which are higher, as you know. And I don't have a problem with it, but I wanted to go before the board eventually and do what I want to do with it. So Woods don't complain. No, you know what I mean? Everybody likes Woods, but now we got people coming in, and they complain, like Dave said, you know. He's existing now. I mean, if I can get a handshake with somebody over here that, you know, I can do what I want to do. I know I have to go before the board, and you guys got to approve it, but it's similar to the other gentleman over here. So I just wanted that on the record. Okay. All right, are you the owner? Ken Banks, I'll give you my card. That's all I want. Thanks, guys. Okay. Everybody good? Anything to add?
No, I think actually all the comments were very reasonable this evening. Just reiterate, anyone give me their contact information, happy to distribute and keep you apprised as we go to the Planning Commission and Council. Thanks.
Okay, let's do this.
Put a motion for it.
I need a second. Need a second. I need a second. Okay.
I'll make a second.
Okay. I'm gonna call the board. Colleen Dunn.
No.
Gerard Lycon.
Yes.
Martin Marcus.
Yes.
Jim McMahon. Yes. All right. There we have it.
If you could send that, that's my email, my work email, okay? Can you?
Okay.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it.